Mrs. Caudle's Curtain Lectures is a book of humorous prose by Douglas Jerrold. It was published in 1846. It presents a series of nightly monologues or lectures delivered by Mrs. Caudle to her silent, long suffering husband while they are in bed with the curtains drawn. Her husband tries unsuccessfully to sleep. In the 19th century, beds often had curtains around them. There are 16 lectures in the book. Each lecture is a humorous monologue where Mrs. Caudle turns a small issue into a long complaint. Mrs. Caudle is sharp-tongued, emotional, and quite suspicious. She scolds her husband for his supposed faults. Mr. Caudle never speaks. His silence highlights his helplessness and adds to the comedy. Gerald satirizes marital quarrels and domestic power struggles. Mrs. Caudle claims to be a devoted, suffering wife, but her constant complaining shows her dominance and hypocrisy. The lectures expose how words can be used as weapons in everyday domestic life. The first sketch or lecture is about their wedding day. Mrs. Caudle recalls their wedding and contrasts it with the present. She complains that her husband was once loving and attentive, but is now careless and indifferent. She uses this comparison to blame him for ruining her happiness. The second sketch is about shirt buttons. Mrs. Caudle scolds her husband for losing his shirt buttons. She says her husband expects her to replace the buttons constantly. She exaggerates her effort in sewing and presents herself as overworked and hardworking, while he is careless, ungrateful, and irresponsible. The third sketch is about the candles. Mrs. Caudle accuses her husband of burning candles unnecessarily. She says it is a waste of candles and costs a lot of money. She says that it is a sign of his lack of responsibility. He is extravagant and has no household discipline. The fourth sketch is about curtains. Mrs. Caudle is upset because the bed curtains are missing. She suspects that her husband has either carelessly given them away, pawned them, or allowed them to be ruined or stolen. She treats the missing curtains as a serious domestic disaster, far beyond their actual importance. Mrs. Caudle goes on a long, exaggerated rant, accusing her husband of irresponsibility, lack of care for household property, and disrespect towards her efforts as a wife. She brings up past mistakes and unrelated issues, turning a small problem into a full attack on his character. The fifth sketch is about tea. Mrs. Caudle criticizes the tea he brings home. She complains about the quality and cost of the tea. She accuses Mr. Caudle of being stingy and foolish. She suggests he cannot even manage simple household purchases properly. The next sketch is about the coat. She complains about his shabby coat. She says that it reflects poorly on her as a wife. She believes his appearance is her responsibility and accuses him of embarrassing her socially. She says that the shabby coat shows his lack of respectability. The seventh sketch is about dinner. A complaint about dinner turns into a speech about how ungrateful he is for her efforts in managing the household. She says Mr. Caudle does not appreciate her cooking and effort. She presents herself as a devoted wife whose hard work is ignored. Then Gerald writes a sketch about money. Money becomes a major issue. Mrs. Caudle accuses him of hiding finances, wasting money, or not giving her enough. She portrays Mr. Caudle as irresponsible and herself as careful and deserving. The ninth sketch is about the bed. Mrs. Caudle complains about his habits in bed, such as restlessness or inconsideration. She turns small discomforts into major grievances, affecting her health and peace. The next, the next sketch is about sewing. She talks about her sewing work as a symbol of her sacrifice. She complains that he never notices her effort and takes her labor for granted. The 11th sketch is about the club. She is angry that Mr. Caudle spends time at his club instead of at home. She imagine she imagines all kind of bad influences. She accuses him of neglecting his duties as a husband and preferring bad company. The 12th sketch is about beer. Mrs. Caudle discusses his drinking habits. She exaggerates the dangers of beer and suggests it will ruin his health and their household. Thus, she turns a small habit into a moral failing. The 13th sketch is about housekeeping. Mrs. Caudle praises her own housekeeping skills. If anything goes wrong, she blames him. She insists she manages everything perfectly, despite his interference. She portrays herself as the perfect, overworked wife. The 14th sketch is about holidays. Mrs. Caudle complains that he cannot make proper plans for a holiday. She says that he cannot provide her with proper comfort or enjoyment. The next sketch is about bills. Unpaid bills lead to embarrassment and anxiety. She accuses him of poor financial management. She imagines worst case scenarios of social disgrace if the bills are not paid. The 16th and final sketch is about illness and death. Mrs. Caudle imagines herself seriously ill or unalive. Even in this imagined situation, she blames her husband, predicting he would not care for her properly and would regret his behavior too late. This shows her dramatic and emotional nature. In this work, Douglas Jerrold conveys the message that small domestic problems can become serious when exaggerated and poorly communicated. Constant nagging and one sided arguments destroy peace in relationships. Mutual understanding and patience are essential for a happy married life. The work humorously exposes human weaknesses like exaggeration, selfishness, and lack of communication.